Welcome to So Guided, a spiritual travel guide for the curious. Join Carissa and Jenny, ordinary people exploring all the extraordinary ways we can connect to the universe. Each week, they investigate another spiritual modality and adventure through all the wild ways we can find high vibes, hope, and ultimately, enlightenment.
Welcome to another episode of So Guided. Today we are diving into mediums. This is one of our first ever recordings of a before and after. Carissa got me a present for my birthday with her favorite medium. So first we dig into all of our past stories, the good, the bad, the funny, and what we look for in a reading. And then I report back in real time after I've had my session. It doesn't go exactly how I thought it would. You've got questions, so do we. Let's do this. We were in the car on the way home from Thanksgiving. It's a long drive. So I asked for 11s. That's my number. Yep. And literally it wasn't like I even had to wait. Within moments, every car around me ended in an 11. We were at mile marker 11, the exit 11. There was a sign with 11 in it. And then a truck drove by and the phone number on it had an 11. And I started laughing. And Brian was like, what's going on? And sometimes I don't want to tell him when I'm doing my weird stuff. But I was like, okay, screw it. This is who I am. And I was supportive. So I said it out loud and the kids are laughing. And Belle goes, Mommy, look. The two cars that hadn't been around us zoomed past us, both ended in 11. And everyone in the car was like, this is cool. So my sign became their sign. And then after that, it was like a showering of 11s. And we kept seeing it. And we went to Chick-fil-A and the number we got was 11. And it was like, you just can't make this up. And for me, you know, if I got just mile marker 11 and 11, it wouldn't be a sign of your sign. Right, if you're going to shower me, I'm in.
I love that. I love that.
So anyway, that's my little baby woo-woo story.
I actually have a number story too, and I'm going to have to look it up because we've talked about angel numbers, but I've been saying 444 a lot.
Oh,
Fours.
Okay.
And just like in clocks and like things, but I had actually kind of forgotten that I've been saying it, but I've been saying it a lot. And I always see a lot of numbers, together, but 444. So I'm going to have to go back to our angel number episode because I don't remember what it means.
No, and that's not a number you normally get.
No, I feel like it's like a change one. I'll have to look. But my actual was a little bit on the other side where I had asked for a sign. I had asked for a dove and I actually haven't seen it.
How long ago?
Long enough ago that I'm not getting it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 days, week?
I feel like a week.
Ugh.
I know.
Right, so this is the worst. And if I'm honest, I don't ask for signs specifically very often because of the fear of that icky, empty feeling.
Right.
So we always say we have to listen why they're not there. So is this an indicator of, I need to address something?
I don't know. Well, here's what's weird or like annoying actually is that they say not getting a sign is a sign. Mm-hmm. But I was doing like a very general, am I on the right path? I just want a sign. Just remind me, universe, you're here. And I didn't get it. And so I didn't even ask, like, am I on the right path about this? It wasn't specific.
What if that's it?
It wasn't specific enough, you think?
Yes.
Maybe. That could make me feel better. Because otherwise, I feel like my whole life is
all we got to readdress everything.
Everything's
what if it wasn't specific enough?
Maybe that's what it is.
So, like, when we learned about pendulums and other things, it's like anything in life.
Yeah, maybe it was too broad. But sometimes the broadness works. Just like, show me an owl and I'll see something.
So maybe that would be more of like signs are like spirit guides are you around. Right? You didn't even ask that. You just said, hey, send a dove.
Well, and I think too, what I'm trying to tell myself is it's not like I didn't get other signs. I've seen numbers. Yes. I've had a million, like I've seen names of people that I think about and that they've showed up. So like I have had 1,000 other signs, but again, sign to your sign, because I didn't get the dove, I'm like, oh man.
Well, I have to admit, I'm sad with you. And I don't have the answer to even work out because I feel like that's really frustrating when that happens.
It is frustrating. But I guess it's part of, I don't know, maybe it's being open too, because if I think about it, I mean, I was decorating for the holidays and did have like 20 doves I put on my fireplace, so maybe I did see one, but it didn't, but you know what? It didn't click. So I don't even think, even if I can pretend I saw one or think back, maybe I saw one. You know when you know, and I know I haven't gotten
have that feeling.
And that's okay. So I'm just going to let it go because I have gotten a bunch of other things. But not to like be a downer on our boo-boo story, but I was like,
I think it's important to tell both sides.
Yeah. But
because like it kind of makes it like, that's the truth. That's when our ego comes in. It's like, ha, told you so.
Right.
All this stuff you're talking about isn't real.
Right.
And you can't help but think it.
Right.
And or if you're so into it like we could be too, then you just feel sad and you're like, oh, are you guys not with me?
Well, you know what's funny is it's less that I don't believe it now, because I still believe it.
Yeah.
It's more of like I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my God, where's my life path gone horribly astray? That now I'm getting like, now I'm not getting a sign.
No. And now I'm looking around my house for a dove, but I haven't.
But it's the same thing. But you, and if you did, it wouldn't, like, unless it clicks.
No.
But again, I'm gonna let it go because I have had so many other examples I just want to share with everyone that I haven't gotten a sign. So sometimes that happens. We share our weekly woo-woo, so it always seems like we're getting everything, and it's not. It's not. And that's why,
just so you know.
Yeah, and that's why we're here. But jumping into our show today, one of my absolute favorite things, and one of the things that have actually helped me to really believe in all this stuff, even prior to us having our big awakening, and since I've been like young, is like mediums and going to like psychics. And I read one time that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So today, which again,
wait, repeat that again.
All mediums are psychic, not all psychics are medium.
Got it.
And I think that's in the book you gave me. Anyway, so we'll just kind of today talk more about mediums, which is the people who can talk to channel, talk to loved ones, and channel people who have passed on, and like spirit guides, angels, and like why we're talking about this and what is so exciting is Jenny has never been to a medium before, and all the things that she's done, she's never been to a medium. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I got her a gift certificate to see a medium for her birthday, and she's going tomorrow. So today's gonna be a before and after episode.
We're so excited to do this.
We're so excited. I feel like one of the things that I'm most excited about is the person I got Jenny to go see is amazing. And
you've gone to her, and your husband's gone to her.
Yeah, she was so good that I had Nick go to her too. So she's been vetted, which I feel like one of the things that I think people get so worried about mediums. There are people out there that aren't good who are kind of trying to.
So I have to say, side note, you know, we're always listening to podcasts, like a different podcast every day of the week, right?
Yeah.
Of interesting things. But one of the ones I just heard was talking about mediums. And her comment was, it's like finding a therapist. Like you could go to one, but you need to like be patient. It might take 5 till you find the right one. And it's same for this too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean someone's bad or whatever. They might be good for someone else, but it's something to be patient with, to find the one that you trust. And this is what's so exciting for me. I don't have to go through 5. You've already vetted this. You've already vetted this. But do you want to tell like one of your stories? I mean, you've had amazing ones with her.
Oh my gosh,
like
she's
one
so
of the
good.
ones. I think one of the things you got me most excited about is she talked about things in your house she's never seen that you and Nick found later.
Right. Well, and so it's good. So I think the referral is so important because I had actually heard that about 50% of mediums can be like not that good. So even when you're finding the right one, like not all of them are legit. So having a referral and knowing that somebody's good is like the way to go. And this lady was so on point. It's like, and I've been to kind of a lot. And I've actually been to a lot of good ones.
You're a connoisseur.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd be like 4, but like not a connoisseur, but connoisseur in comparison. But this lady was so amazing. And so I was like, a lot of people use mediums for like grief because it definitely can remind you and bring messages from your loved ones. And it does bring a sense of peace and like awareness that there's more to life, even for people who wouldn't necessarily go to a medium. Like Nick's open, and I think you do have to be somewhat open, but he's not going and booking his own mediumship.
Yes.
You know, it's like I had to do it for him. Like he like believes, but he's not like me and Jenny. And so again, like if you're going to have somebody go, they have to have some sort of openness. So he went. And one of the things that she said was that my son, my 2-year-old at the time, now 3, definitely like those people who have passed through, like play with him and watch over him. And he's always babbling and talking and like saying hi to Pepe and like spirits. But one of the things she said is, you know, I'm seeing like they play in your son's room. They're showing me a purple monkey. They're showing me like a purple monkey, and no exaggeration, about a week prior, we had won a purple monkey at one of those like claw games, and it was hanging in his room. It was like, you know, like a 8-inch purple monkey. the most random thing.
That's so specific.
The most random specific thing. And it was like, there's no way in the world this woman would have known it. It's like, it was so like, and it was, again, the people who had passed on coming through saying like they're playing with my son and that they're aware of him and that he's like, like when he's babbling and talking to them and saying hi to them, like it's them. And then they validated it by sharing that there's a purple monkey in his room, which there is. So I feel like, again, there's a lot of examples that this woman has done, but like that validation is like, I feel like you need it so much when you're seeing a medium, and like she has done the best job. And like on the flip side, me and Jenny went to this is, I think, again, before we got super in, I think before we even read the Gabby book. Did we go to that woman before so me and Jenny, did we go, or was it the beginning?
Are we talking about Situa?
No, we're talking about the cat.
Yes.
So we had, I think, so me and Jenny, again, before we even went like full like on and had like our universe has your back and our spiritual awakening, as we call it, we had gone to like an online medium, and it wasn't an online medium.
It
was during COVID. This woman did a Zoom, and there was like 20 people on the Zoom, and it was like
makes me laugh.
We laughed so hard because it was one of the worst things we've ever seen.
Yes,
it was the most generic. All of a sudden, she was like, I feel a cat. And her mom happened to also be on the Zoom.
Yes.
And she's like, I feel a cat. Is it someone have a cat? No one had a cat. Someone's like, I had a dog that passed away. She's like, no, it's a cat. It's a cat. It's making me sneeze. And she's like, it's an orange cat. And like, everyone's silence, complete silence. No one got it. And then her mom is like, oh, honey, maybe it's our cat. And she's like, but our cat was black. And she's like, yeah, it was our cat. It was like so bad. Me and Jenny, I'm sorry to go tangent, but it's what can happen. It's when you have the wrong person. Yes. And like that person that we did that Zoom with, again, had 20 people there. And I think all of her things was like, oh, I feel somebody, they miss you. It was all real generic stuff. It felt generic, and it felt like you could like plug and play some of the information she said to like anybody. When she confirmed that someone had a mom who had passed, she said a lot of things that many mothers would say.
Right.
And I feel like that specificity needs to be there for me, for like who's like a skeptic, because in that Zoom, we saw the comments afterwards, because me and Jenny were like, that's the worst thing we've ever been to.
And like the weirdest part, the comments.
The comments afterwards, people were like, that was amazing. Thank you.
I still have the goosebumps.
I didn't get a reading, but just seeing you in action, we're like, are we in Bizarro
Are we
world?
in the same
like, are we
Zoom?
Are we in the same Zoom?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But I ask you this. So just because, and you know how I feel about that one I mean,
well, you became even more skeptical.
We became more skeptical. Yeah. This and another person we're going to tell you about made us skeptical too. Really, like, we stopped even recording our podcast for 2 months after another one.
Yeah, we actually
But like,
did.
this is so honest because it's like real life, but where is the specific? However, a lot of the messages that we're taught to like download or when we're getting them are that way. They are generic. So I guess my devil's advocate side is, are we not in a place of knowing? And I don't really know the answer, because I really do think there's good and bad ones. The other thing is they have different ways that they're communicated with. Everyone's different. It's almost like a personality in itself, how each one receives their information.
Yeah.
So very different. Even from person to person, the symbols they get are in relationship to their life. So like, like just using your dove, the dove could mean peace to one person, and another psychic, that dove, when it presents to them, could mean something else, like being in flight or spirituality. So, I mean, they could mean different things. So likewise, if someone is more generically talking, it doesn't actually mean that they're not good or they're not psychic, but maybe that's just how they get their information. And what we've identified is that ain't working for us.
Right. Well,
like maybe some people are like, I'm in, I'll take it. And you and I just know that medium is not for us.
But you know what, you made a really good point is that the information can be generic, but as long as they validate it with something that you know, like, because even some of the stuff, like my lady said, it's not like earth shattering, like, oh my God, like I can't believe my grandma misses me. But because she validates it with the purple monkey, I'm more apt to believe it. That's a real message coming from someone I love. I'm so skeptical when I first go to a medium that I don't typically want to share a lot, because I want to see if they're like real before. And I'm like closed off anyway. Like I'm like private. So I'm not like going to like share a bunch of stuff. I want to see that they're there. But because we know that, again, I really think that she's great. I want to get you to get the most out of your experience. I think you should go with some questions, and maybe not even share the questions, but write them down so that the intention is there. And also because you don't have necessarily someone that you're hoping to talk to, that you go in and that you share that you'd like to hear from your guides, or if there's any angels around, because she does do angel readings. And so instead of how I would typically go in very quiet, like, you're going to figure this out, lady, to confirm you're real, I don't think you need to do that. I think you'll get more out of it by prepping and kind of being like, hey, this is what I want to get from this session. This is what I'm hoping to get, and being open to that.
What's really funny, if you guys knew Carissa, this is like the opposite of the advice I'd ever expect you to say. That means you've gone to her so many times that you're open to saying this. Anyone you meet, a doctor, anyone, any specialist in any field, you aren't giving anything away.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you
I'm
have
not.
A poker face.
I do.
So
I want to make sure.
I love that you're saying that, but I actually, this is as nerdy as this is, I've realized that because I need specificness, I sat down and just freehand, without thinking about what I was writing, wrote a list of like 15 questions.
Ooh.
And I'd be excited if honestly 2 were answered. But I realized that you kind of have to put out there, like, what's your questions? And I want validation from my guardian angel and my guides of things that have happened on my path.
I love it.
So I'm very specific. And one of my questions is, and I'm going to put it out there because you guys, we're talking about this, we're breaking, and then we're going to come back and tell you what happened. So that's the fun part. And we don't know how this is going to go. I could have a negative, well,
you could have a negative experience.
It's not that it would be negative, but I could come back empty-handed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I am going the route of my intention, and I'm saying that right now, is I really want to connect to whatever this is, the guidance we hear, who is that, the moments that only I would know about.
Yep.
So I'm looking for that, and I have a list, more than that. I'm not going to share them all, but that's my big one.
Okay.
But I'll take a lot of them.
Okay.
The one medium one I am open to is Grandma Lane.
Yes.
So it's interesting because you go to see your grandma because your grandma was so close to you, and that's I always think your grandma's one of your soulmates.
Yeah.
Your very strong soulmates. My grandma Lane passed away within a month of my birth, so I didn't get to meet her earth side, but I have always thought my whole life that we passed in the night.
Yes.
So I would love to hear from Grandma Lane, and that is the person that I'd be like.
Yes.
So that's the one, and the rest I really want to connect on different level. So we're going to see.
I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait to come back and hear a play-by-play.
I know.
Of what comes through, what happens, and if it makes you a believer in mediums. Not like you don't believe in mediums, but if it becomes one of your go-tos that you crave it. Because it's one of those things that I have, when I'm hitting even a rut, if I go to a medium, and I probably go maybe once a year to twice. It's not like I'm going very often, but when I feel like I need it, I'm so excited because it kind of re-energizes me.
I'm so excited. I can't even. One thing though that, if I'm being honest, it's really funny because this is the best present ever. But one of my things that I'm curious about, I guess the only thing I'm skeptical about at this point is it's a Zoom.
I know.
This lady doesn't meet in person, and I'm just such an in-person energy, tangible. And Carissa says, you feel an energy on Zoom when you log in with her. So I'm very curious on the Zoom side of this.
So I've seen her 3 times in my life. And the first time was before I even had Van. Yes. So I went to her, and I actually didn't even know if I was going to have another baby. And she had this she shared with me that I had to decide there was 2 routes I could go. And she's like, you have to decide which direction. And if you decide you want it, then it's there for you. And I went to Van, and now I have them, so it's perfect. And that was the only time that was in person. I remember being with her and being very almost nervous. Like a nervous energy, nervous, not uncomfortable nervous, but nervous. I felt like my heart was racing. I could feel energy in the room. And then I've done it 2 more times, probably 3 years later. It took me 3 years, whatever. And then I've done it both other times were on Zoom, and the energy was the same. The same shift in energy. And Nick did it with the purple monkey. That was on Zoom only. Right. So again, I was very weirded out of how it can work. But you can feel it. And they say you can do everything from Zoom, which they say you can do Reiki, which is energy healing. I feel like it's so hard to believe. But I'm gonna
be open.
I know you have to be open because people are saying it's working. And again, I will confirm that it did work. The 2 times the most recent times were Zoom. Yes. So I know, but I feel like there's nothing better than in person. But let's see. I feel like it'll be good.
I'm super curious. So let's talk about our funny one. Our other funny one that made us take a break from spirituality.
Oh my God. Okay, so we had went to a very specific guide, like a medium that speaks to guides. And so
which you'd think would be up my alley.
It was up your alley. You're the one that actually scheduled it.
Like,
so
yes.
she was like, she actually scheduled it, told me about it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going too. So we went because we loved the specificity of guides because I hadn't really ever talked to our guides. So we went to this place, and the woman was like lovely, and she was so kind, and like we had our sessions individually, and her voice changed when she was in there, and it felt to me like what's the Abraham Hicks, where like it felt very much like she had read a book about how guides speak and then was speaking it. But again, that's a skeptic. Maybe that's how guides really do speak. But like it makes it hard for someone like Jenny and me to be like, yeah, this is like it, when it feels like rehearsed a little bit. Yes. And so there was very much of like, I can't even do it. There was everything she said was followed by "you see," like in her voice, the inflection.
You are living a good life. You see.
Yes. You must follow your path, you see.
And it was so bizarre. It felt almost a little show-like.
Yeah, it was.
There was nothing specific.
Nothing specific. I will say though, to her credit, nothing was specific, but Jenny's and mine was very different because we listened to ours. So we listened to ours afterwards together, and it was kind of like it was too showy, and it was the information was generic, and so we didn't leave being like that was amazing. We left being like, what'd you think? That was weird, like a little bit. And so when we came out and we ended up listening because we wanted to do a podcast around it, we were going to share the whole thing. So, so we listened to each other's, and again, mine was a very different vibe than Jenny's, but still the same tone, the same inflection. Yes. A lot of similar stuff, like a little, like, a lot of the same.
Also, I forgot that we got our guides' names, and ours were like one vowel different.
Well, mine was, I think, Raja, but mine was Judah. That was yours. I can't remember.
Mine was like Muda. I'm just
mine was Judah. Yours was
Well, you guys, we literally lost it. And it kind of derailed us. It really derailed us. And we should be stronger than that. But I mean, it was funny. I mean,
you have to tell the best part though.
Oh,
it's so
so you tell it.
All right, so we were listening to the recordings of each of ours because we recorded it, and so we're listening to Jenny's, and Jenny was getting like furious when she was listening. She's like, "This is ridiculous," and it was so funny. So already Jenny was like, we were listening to hers. She was like, "This is so generic. This is so what?" And like they had said a lot about Jenny's kids, and I was like, "Had you told her about your kids?" And Jenny was like, "Yeah, like right beforehand." Yeah. So we felt like she like used information.
Yes.
Jenny had gone to a class that she had offered, like a group class that was like a pendulum class. Yes. Just throw it out there. So it was a pendulum class, and it was like about like 50 people, and it was just like a really basic like how to use a pendulum. And you had fun. You said it was a great time, and it was fun, and you liked her at the thing. That's why you ended up moving forward with this. So in Jenny's actual reading from her guide, like this is like a guide from the other side. Basically, we'll use someone else's names to protect the identity of those that seem bizarre. Perfect. But let's call the woman Hillary. So during Jenny's reading from Muda, he's like, "Jenny, you were on the right path, you see. There is a reason you went to Hillary's pendulum class, you see. You must do more with Hillary." Like it legit
was a sales pitch.
It was a sales pitch in her guide reading. Like actually this woman had the audacity to insert her class as if Jenny's guide
was a life-changing moment.
Like that was a life-changing. And it was like super basic to begin with. And Jenny's like, "Oh yeah, it's basic, it was fun, whatever." But like again, we confirmed it was not real based on like the and I was when I heard that, just a side note, I was crying laughing so hard.
No, we were rolling.
I had tears shooting down my face when this woman said literally that there's a reason Jenny went to her pendulum class. No. Like it was unreal.
I will also side note it that despite our skepticism, we really listened to each other's and was like, all right, that's good info. We tried real hard to be open.
We did try.
And that was like the nail on the coffin.
Well, the problem is like, again, there was a lot of generic info, but good info. Again, good info, like, and kind of the stuff that you get.
Universal happy thoughts,
good reminders about being open and, you know, all the stuff. But the second she said that, it was out the window.
It was
out the window. It was insulting.
Yes.
But in a hilarious way.
Yes.
It was crazy. So again, we digress onto this tangent to remind you that we have to be cautiously optimistic when seeing a medium and make sure that they're legit. And like, don't get turned off if someone's like not great. And like, let's just hope, fingers crossed, that with all the freaking very, very high referral I've gone in with the woman Jenny is saying tomorrow, that she's as good as I've said, and that she has a great experience. I know you're going to, because you're open and you're ready. And you know what? It's going to be an experience that you're meant to have. So it'll be whatever perfect no matter what. And is there anything you want to add before we cut and then come back?
No, I mean, I guess my only one is to end on a positive story, because we've gone, wow, what's so weird is like we went more the other route in what we're talking about, which is funny. And I wonder if subconsciously we have more skepticism than we thought. But I wanted to end on a happy note, because I did have one, and we don't count it because it was at a psychic sip and see wine night.
Yeah.
So I did want to share one happy story, which is what has me like wildly intrigued for tomorrow. So I went to a psychic wine tasting at a wine event in town, and you draw someone's name, and there was different ones around the room, so you could get different people. And cute enough, my dad loves this stuff with me. So my dad found it and took me on a daddy-daughter date, and we went together. So I got someone, and she did tarot cards, and it was like, okay, whatever. It was again a generic one, but was lovely. And my dad had a woman that was doing a reading in the back, and he said, I want my daughter to come with me. Is that okay? And she wasn't letting anyone else do it. And she let me come back with my dad. And what ended up happening is she ended up reading both our energy.
Oh, it's fun.
And it was supposed to be 15 minutes, and she let it go longer. And it was amazing. So she actually said to my dad, your mom is here, and wow, is she strongly standing with Jenny.
Ooh, I love that.
And then she also knew about my twins, and she said immediately, she said things about my dad that was insanely accurate, and then turned to me for a few minutes, and it was literally like only 5 minutes of time directed at me, but she just hit the nail on the head. So I have twins, and you know the story, but they had said, and I got them via IVF, the day that they were being implanted, it was always going to be one only. And the morning we showed up, they said, the lab is having a hard time with the rest of your embryos, and we're thinking it's better for you to try with 2 today. We're going to give you 10 minutes to talk through this to decide. And I told you, this is like the hottest moment of my life with my husband, where he literally said, we don't need the time to decide, put them both in. And this moment resonates with me because I've always felt that it's possible that was a different path we took. It felt like one was destined and like one was chosen last minute. So now going back to this psychic, she said, and I didn't validate even that I had twins. She just kept going. She said, this is really interesting. One was always meant to be here, and one was chosen last minute to help the other one. And in our life, that is the relationship where one of my 2 children really almost uses the other one as the mouthpiece, the expressor of their own emotions, and that is their relationship.
That's so amazing.
So this was quick, but I had that quick moment of Grandma Lane and this quick moment of identifying something, and that's enough validation for a lifetime of believing. I mean, that's pretty dramatic. So anyway, I wanted to end on the happy note.
I love it. Well, yes, and I'm glad you did. Yes. So I mean, we went a little too hard on the negative because I'm a huge believer in psychics, and I've had so many good experiences and so many good things of validation. All right.
Okay, this is really funny.
All right, I am bated breath to hear how your session went with the psychic and the medium.
You guys, this is really funny. So this is how committed we are to an authentic follow-up for you, is that she came right from the city to my house, didn't say hello to her children, and is sitting and talking to me.
And I'm so ready. Okay. And Jenny would not even give me a thumbs up or down. No. I was like, at least give me like a thumbs up or down. Let me know how this went. Okay. All right. Tell me everything.
So you're not... It's a thumbs down. No! I so want it. Okay. This is like the realness of what we're up to.
Okay,
right?
let's do it.
So I even said to Brian, so you guys,
honestly, this is the nicest present anyone's ever bought me in my life. And I was like, Brian, can I tell her the truth? And he's like, you have to tell her the truth.
You have to. Okay. Oh my God, tell me
we
everything.
could dig in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So on the whole,
I'm so
there's going to be one winner for you right from the start. And I was like, holy jamoli. And then there were ebbs and flows.
Yeah, ebbs and flows.
And I really didn't get one solid, specific anything.
Really?
So that was probably my biggest thing was evidence, and there was none.
Well, that's what we talked about before, is how important the validation is.
Yes.
Otherwise, you feel like it's just a generic thing. And we can't have generic because we're so needing.
Said that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So on a whole, first of all, just to give you this lady, she is like your friend's sweet Italian Catholic mom.
Yep.
She's so sweet.
Yep.
Instantly loving. You instantly want to hug her. She's sweet. And she came in with a right away, and you're going to love this. So we could circle back to this.
Okay.
But this was the part that got me, and I was like, we are in this. This is happening. But her first thing was, holy cow, you're connected to your dad's side. Your grandfather's standing with you right now. Your dad's dad. But nothing about Grandma Elaine.
Well, that's interesting.
Like very specifically missing Grandma Elaine information, but said my grandpa, and this is true, both of my grandparents on my dad's side passed.
Yeah.
And then very, very true, that side of my family I'm deeply connected with. But what's strange is my grandma, who you've heard me discuss, passed away a month before I was born.
Yes.
And so I felt connected to her my whole life. And my grandpa was a stricter man, passed away when my dad was much younger. And so I don't get talked about him a lot. But this has come up in a different kind of psychic-y thing I did about my grandfather.
Yes.
But not my grandma. And I've always been wondering why not grandma.
That's interesting.
Okay. So that is interesting. So she goes in hard with grandpa.
Okay.
And then she says, you're writing. You write a lot. Like you've been able to do automatic writing. And I said, yeah, I'm not strict with it. She's like, the ones that you know someone's with you, it's actually your grandpa Elmer. Like it's your grandpa. Well, she didn't say the name. So that was pretty specific, the automatic writing.
Yeah, okay.
And so her theme repeatedly became this writing theme. And I will give you this. This is one of my major questions before this. So I feel like one question was really, really answered. And it was, what modality do I pursue to get my answers? Remember, that was one of my biggest questions. And I would say when I stopped being analytical, I had a few answers not presented the way I thought they'd be.
Interesting.
But I really strongly was like, what is it? Oracle cards? Is it pendulums? Is it my own thoughts?
Well, and we always kind of say like, oh, writing, like as much as we like to do it, like the automatic writing hard. Seems like a chore a little bit. That's okay. So, but she was very much, that's like what she saw that for you. Okay.
And she saw that I did it and that I'm being told to do it. And that I have the ability to get downloads very easy if I write. So I'm into it. And so this is my favorite takeaway. Okay. And then,
did she say that you seem to get more downloads? Like, did she jump right into that?
No, there's no part of it where she said that I had any abilities.
Interesting.
Didn't really talk about anything like my own psychic medium. Okay. That wasn't sprinkled in at all.
Okay. Which we definitely wanted it to be.
We wanted it to be.
Because you've had that for multiple other, like, in like passing with people. Right. And you've always felt like that's how you judge a good medium or a good psychic.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's like, so that, I would say that's like a bummer for you, for sure.
But it's a next step further where she actually told me I was wrong about something that I believed in.
No! Wait, what?
So at one of the times she asked me if I had specific questions. I said, oh, awesome, because I have a list of them. Yeah. So one of them I said, okay, I'm into following and deepening my intuition. Yep. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes I read books and it increases it. And sometimes I back in and out of being interested. But I genuinely feel like I'm being guided. Like I hear loving thoughts.
Yep.
She says, is it in your voice or someone else's? And I said, it's my voice. She's like, oh, well then they're not from spirit. That's your ego. You're not getting any intuitive hits.
Oh my God! Oh my God! That's awful! Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
No, I honestly was,
See, that
Okay.
is, first of all, that's like something where you don't want to hear that. Do you know what I'm saying? Say somehow that's accurate. You wouldn't say that to somebody.
she said it in such a loving way, but it was, oh, honey, when it's in your voice, that's just your ego.
But many people hear stuff in their own voice. We've read so much about that, and that's exactly, sometimes that's the only way you understand it is to hear it in your own voice.
This is what I needed to dig into. So one of my thoughts was like, the book I just gave you, she says you're going to hear spirit in your own voice because it can't come in.
Right.
So that was really weird,
That's
right?
weird.
Okay.
So she has a very strong belief around that, which
Yes.
That's
yes. And so
bizarre.
that one was like probably my hardest nugget because
then it's hard to recover from that too. You can't recover when someone tells you something that you strongly believe in, and then like you almost like I don't even think you believe. You know when you're getting downloads. It's not the belief; it's the knowing. And so her telling you it's wrong, it's hard to then validate anything else she's saying.
That's right.
Oh God,
I know.
Bummer.
Okay.
All right, keep going.
So that's pretty big.
That's huge. That's so annoying.
I'll tell you what I backed it up in. At the end, we ended up talking, and it was really funny. The last 20 minutes was talking about her, and I ended up giving her advice about something, and it was such a weird twister-rooney that I kind of circled back to something that made sense to me was I was looking to her to be someone almost who could see that I had things that I needed help and guidance on.
Yeah.
But that's not her forte. I think her forte is maybe mediumship.
Right.
And so I think maybe what I needed or was looking for wasn't what she's normally used to perceiving. She only could give me advice as how it works to her. And as a medium, she's hearing it as a different voice.
Right.
And I wonder if that was that. But I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, but I'll tell you, it was like a dagger in my heart.
Yeah.
Like I think I probably looked like I got slapped in the face when it happened.
Did she notice when she said that? Like how your tone changed?
Because I
would feel like she would have to see the energy.
Yes, the energy.
Because did you feel did you feel energy when you got on there, or did you not? Did you feel energy with her? Like
yes. So and then I didn't. So immediately. So what I got was immediately when she started talking about my grandpa, who I'm not connected with. So it's not like yay win-win subject.
Right.
Full body chills, energy in the room, and I was like, oh my gosh, what Carissa said is happening to me. I was so excited, and I felt that. And then when she went from, and I blame myself a little bit, I would led her away from grandpa because I wanted these other answers so bad, and I regret it. The energy dropped then, and I have the sense that she never tapped back into me again. Like that, like she really was like on from the start. And this is like maybe too deep talk for this, and maybe it's a bookmark, but I'm having like existential issues because of this. I cannot even tell you. Where like I'm going dark in disbelief. Like this went such a different.
Oh my God! I've like ruined your spirituality. No, you can't. No.
Okay.
This is the whole point for our listeners to realize that sometimes we have these things and they're not. They cannot steer you because no one has the power. And one thing I will say that you have been saying all along a million times is that the downloads that you've been getting have been telling you to go inside yourself. And
that
they've been telling
not in other people.
But that you have been telling you everything that you've been getting. And you are, and me and you are in like are parallel, but in such different paths. And you have been hearing over and over again, the answer is within you. The answer is within you. And you are looking for validation. And maybe the validation is to remind you that it's within you. And that every time you go somewhere, you're disappointed. And so just to go inside to yourself.
Time.
Like that's like what I mean. I feel like if nothing else, it's don't go dark from it. You can't you cannot let it go. Well, no.
Okay, so this is really cute. What was funny is there was a weird stop-start, and I think this was honestly a part of my reading and maybe why we didn't tap in fully. Okay. So when she began, her town is on a town generator, and they were testing it before winter. And this was a Zoom, as we had mentioned.
Right.
So when it started, we spent the first 10 minutes of her being worried that our Zoom was going to cut out at some point. And
that's annoying.
And so she couldn't even get stressed fully about it. And then it happened. So 30 minutes into it, we disconnected, tried to reconnect like 3 times. So she said, let's set another time. So I had a weird break in between.
Oh, that's weird.
So the weird break was really good because she derailed so far off. She talked about an animal that passed away that was with me immediately. So I was real excited because we just talked about Cooper.
Yeah.
And the dog before him was like the soulmate dog, Max. So like any dog,
any dog. Don't tell me it's a cat. Tell me she said it's a freaking cat.
No, but she said dog. But she said that I've never let go of being the one that had to choose to put him down. But this isn't how I feel. He was hurting, and I felt like I made the right choice. And I've missed him my whole life, and I love him very much. But she mentioned that, you need to release that. And I'm like, oh, well, that was hard that day, but I don't hold that. Like I love my baby boo-boo. So
that's weird.
So there was that, and we talked about that for a long time.
Which you didn't even need to talk about. She went too hard on it.
She said the dog sends me compasses, which was a curious thing.
Compasses?
And, yes.
The dog sends you you do have a compass outside.
That's what Brian said, and he's like, you mentioned it a day ago. So we disconnect, and Brian comes in from work, and we have a lunch break. So this is when I go dark. I'm back to lightness again. Okay. But I started crying, and I said, where the fuck are my guides? I keep going to a million things, and are they not there? Like, why are they not talking to me? Like, what's going on? And he was super cute, and he's like, because you're the high priestess, Jenny. He's so cute.
That's so cute. He's right. It is. It's exactly it. It's like because they're there right now talking to you directly, and they're like, "Why are you middle-manning us? Like, what are you middle? Stop insulting us with these low brows."
So just the quick backstory is multiple different scenarios we've been in passing. I've been told that there's some high priestess in my past, so we joke about this a lot. So it was really sweet, and so I decided I had to recheck myself, and I was like, okay, we just talked about it earlier before we went to this, was that everyone has a different way and a different gift. And her gift wasn't more the route I needed today.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, this was meant to be. I could shift gears. So I actually meditated. I actually burned Palo Santo to release my energies.
Good.
Yeah. And then I had one of these feelings. I was like, maybe when she's not with me, she even said she had to run an important errand and picked the time she wanted to meet back up with me. And I thought, oh, maybe while she's out and about, she'll connect because she was worried about the power going out.
Yeah.
So I was so excited because when she come back on, she goes, there's a reason we disconnected and that we did this. And I was so excited.
Oh, God.
It wasn't about me.
No! What is happening?
She said she got the note from the town that this was happening Monday, that the power outage could happen halfway through our date. And she said, I asked my angels and guides if I should reschedule with you. And they said, keep it. And I was wondering why. And she said, well, when I got off the call with you, because the power kept going on and off, my son's air fryer went to full tilt and was on fire. And if I hadn't been home, and what I had planned to do was reschedule yours and do the errand I was running during this time frame when the power outage.
Oh my God, you are a lifesaver.
She said you saved my house, so thank you.
Wow. So I feel like she should be paying you.
So here's my question, and not a negative way about her. Was this whole thing almost for her? And did my reading, and I haven't told you the second half, but was the day more about someone kind of guiding around her a little bit? So the ability to read me, it was more on her side, all the things happening.
Yeah.
And I honestly wonder if that was a part of it. Because
my jaw is dropped right now. People can't see me, but my literal mouth is wide open. I don't even know what to say. The whole thing is so insane. First of all, I don't even know. That's so weird. I guess it's wonderful of you. What a great job you did. But
I wouldn't say it was me, but I feel like serendipitous for her. And then I wonder if that just wasn't.
Well, of course. She's even now, how can you get back in the zone? We talk about how hard it is for us to connect when we're in and out. How can she go from that to oh, my house almost burned down, back in action. Let's talk about Jenny. I feel again, kind of just serviced you in itself with that.
I felt a little bit okay.
She's flighty.
Yeah.
She is a little flighty too.
Okay.
And I feel she's definitely, remember I told you she's a little flighty, a little all over the place. But I feel that's just because, I don't know, that's just her personality and maybe because she is whatever. So that cannot have helped having everything that you just, with the power and the fire.
No. So this is kind of being weird, but she's rejuvenated. I feel her energy and I zen myself and I feel okay, this is good. It was meant to be. She got her gift. Now let's do this. So she's oh, and when we had time apart, did you have a chance to think of more questions? And I was oh, okay, well,
I had thought I wasn't interested in the medium side, but you connected to my grandpa, so I'd like to know more. There was no more on grandpa. And so I asked about Grandma Elaine, and she said, Grandma Elaine is pointing to a rosary. Do you have a rosary? I do not. There was an M name. I'm like, my last name, Min. She's like, that's not it. We didn't connect to what that was. And then the conversation took a weird loop to something with my son that I'm worried about him, which was a good one because this is real. And then she pulled a card that was a daughter, and the one before it was something about Eastern medicine and pursuing something. And when she said it, I thought maybe she's talking about Belle now.
Of course,
because Belle's been asking to do children's acupuncture. And I was like, oh. And then she pulled the daughter card. She's like, oh, we're about to talk about your daughter now. And she said something like, I'm seeing an amethyst with your daughter. Does she collect crystals? That was probably my biggest concrete evidence of the whole thing.
Okay.
Isabel collects crystals, and she said amethyst. Purple's her favorite color. She has an amethyst.
Okay.
I've actually been sleeping at night with amethyst, so I was real excited it was back to me again, which I wanted it to be. And I have an amethyst. I sleep at my bedside table. And she's like, no, let's go back to Belle. And I was like, okay. So we did get into Belle, but it was more like I was telling her about Belle than I felt like I heard things.
Oh, I don't like that. You know how I feel about telling people stuff. I hate telling.
No. She did tell me, and this is only because I said Belle was intuitive. She said to make sure we're clearing and grounding her. So like her cards that she got as a gift should be cleared, and she was very clear on that.
Okay.
And that I needed to walk with her in nature. And if she has the gifts.
Oh, I like the nature walk.
She said she needs to be grounded and it'll be up to me. So I like those couple of tidbits.
Okay.
She said, this is a cool thing just for anyone in the world. She said people either dream in color or black and white, and to ask her what she dreams in.
Does it make a difference?
She said color allows you to see more of like your spirits too.
Ooh.
But this is a subject now I want to find out more.
Do you dream in color?
Color, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, who dreams in black?
I've never met anyone who dreams in black.
Right.
I thought it was like a myth.
All right. So then we go back to my grandma, and she won't let up about a rosary.
Your grandma was Catholic though.
She was
But I feel
Catholic.
like didn't you confirm that there was Catholicness or no?
No, I can't.
Now I'm starting to get real skeptical.
I know.
I feel like, did you tell her you were Catholic?
Right,
I remember you did say your grandma was, in the beginning, very Catholic and then had like gone into more spirituality stuff.
Yes, she did. But she was so involved with the church. They had a special extra service.
Right. So I mean, at least, as long as you didn't tell her that, I like that.
She said things about my grandma's personality I know to be true. How loving she is. She's like, not all grandmas are. This one is like super insanely nurturing. And she said things about her personality I had learned, and she knew she was deeply religious, which it was clear from my reading that I wasn't. So, that I thought was pretty good. She would not let up about this rosary that exists in my parents' house from my grandma. And I was like, I'm so close with my dad. If there's something from my grandma Lane there, I feel like I would know. She's like, no, I'm not letting this one go. You're going to ask your dad when you're done.
Okay,
good.
Like, okay, we'll validate.
I like that.
We'll validate.
I like
Please
that.
tell me he says yes for the love of God.
All right, so I will tell you. I obviously texted my dad immediately, and he's like, yes, I have a rosary, but your mom holds on to it because your mom's Catholic. And I said, well.
From your grandma?
Okay, yes.
Oh, that's good.
So that was it. And that was also the other funny part was she said, your grandma wants you to have it. It has her energy on it. And she said she wants you to use it as your pendulum. And that's why you're not into pendulums. Get her rosary and use that. So I texted my dad, Mom's not going to like this, but Grandma Lane wants me to have the rosary.
That's interesting.
All right, so that was probably a good one. That was a good one.
We'll take that.
Right,
okay, so we got some duds for sure, but we got a few tidbits, a few nuggets. That's cool. Did she let you? You didn't say anything about pendulums, or had you?
No.
Okay.
Zero.
Oh, and you're not into pendulums.
And I'm not into
because of the pendulum class.
Yeah.
You had a bad experience with. Oh my God. That's cool.
Yes.
Okay.
So that one was really cool. The other thing
That's very interesting.
The other thing
so she was saying that your grandma connected with you then. So she was getting insight from your grandma.
Yes, it felt not as strong as grandpa though. Like I felt like
she had to it was like pulling it out.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it nothing seemed easy for her. Like I almost wanted to be like, oh, what can I do to help you? It didn't seem easy. The other one was, and I'm sure this happens to people a lot, which is funny, like the amethyst, where I was like, oh, that means something to me. So you're on the right path. But the psychic, for whatever reason, is like, no, that wasn't the path. You'd think they like go that route.
Normally, which I actually kind of like that because she's not just yesing you. Like she's not like, yeah, like, second, like, because sometimes you get so excited, like I get so excited, we all get so excited when we hear something that sounds right that they could just let you believe it. So I do like that she has a strong opinion.
Agreed.
right or wrong.
But
Do you know what I'm saying?
I just think it's so funny. So the other one where that happened, where this would have been a big, big nugget for me to share with you, but she didn't seem to be grabbing onto my my idea about her idea. And it was that my grandma kept doing the sign of holding a baby.
Okay.
So she kept saying, was a baby lost? Did you lose a baby? Is the baby lost around you? I'm like, well, my best friend did. She's like, no, it's in your family. There's a baby. She keeps showing holding a baby. And I said, and this is very true, the very last gesture my grandma did before she passed away, the last thing she physically did was make the gesture of a baby's arms and mouth to my dad, I love the baby. And so I got the chills and I said,
I have the chills right now.
Okay. And she goes, nope, that's not it.
That's insane. No, of course that's
But
it.
that's it.
If that was the last gesture she did,
Yes.
why would she not say, yes, that's what it is?
That's what I'm getting at.
That's bizarre.
So I would take this. Maybe we ignored that comment on her.
I'm going to ignore some of her comments. And honestly,
Okay.
just like we said, how they read it a certain way and push it to
Yes.
us. Like, I think we need to take what she's saying and what intuitively works for us, allow that to be. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when you like pick an oracle card and they say before you read the description, intuitively take what it means, and if it means something, it means something. So like if the last thing your grandma did was make a rocking baby motion to your dad and then she's showing you a rocking baby motion, I don't care what she says, that's obviously connects with you. That's a validation.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
That's crazy for her not to say that.
Everyone needs someone to sit with them, a best friend, to talk about it afterwards.
No, but that's like insane for her not to grab onto that.
My biggest thing. If she had grabbed onto that, that would have been huge for me. Because I've been told this my whole life, that her last action was holding the baby in her arms while I was in my mom's belly. And then born.
Dude, that's
2 weeks later.
Honestly, that's one of the biggest things you've known, like that you've known that she did before she passed away, was do a rocking baby motion when you were in the belly.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes. And then to note, I was born 2 weeks later, people. So that was big. So there's that. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm taking that as a good nugget. I'm taking that as a win, even though she like did it very strange.
She did say repetitive numbers are wild around me right now and they're going to pick up even more. And I even told my woo-woo story at the start of this episode. Yeah. So she said that's going to be really big and even further, and don't ignore them.
Okay.
So it's fun. She literally said the advice we gave when we talked about angel numbers. She's like, Google them. Anyone, just Google them. Like if 222 happens, which just happened to me. So that's cool. I loved this, and she wouldn't know it because she wasn't in tune to this. The only tarot card she randomly pulled over was the High Priestess.
Oh, so your guides were there.
After Brian said it, it was the moment that I was like, oh, my guides are saying.
Your guides are saying you are. That's so perfect.
They weren't speaking through her, but that was their way of being like, we're here, girlfriend. And I felt that. That was towards the end. And then I
God, I love that.
Okay, so
that should get me back to spirituality. You are not going dark on us. I'm going back to bright.
But this is High Priestess. And he had literally said
the fact that he said those words, that is, what do we always say? Synchronicity, serendipity? I don't know. Whatever the word is, that's no coincidence is what it is. Whatever it is, it's not a coincidence. That is purposeful. And that was like your guide.
It was her only tarot card. She wasn't doing cards.
And she just randomly decided to pick one?
Yeah. I think while she talks.
She does it while she talks, yeah.
In the beginning, she did one.
What did she say when she picked it? Did she say anything about it, or she just showed it to you?
She showed it to me, and it didn't relate to what I was processing it as. Which, now looking back on this whole thing, it all works when we filter it through our version.
Which I think we need to do for everything. You have to put it through your own intuition.
We do.
She doesn't know. She's supposed to be the messenger. And what they say about mediums is they're supposed to just repeat everything they say.
That's okay.
And they're supposed to say whatever they see, even if it doesn't make any sense to them.
That's exactly what we were talking about this morning.
Right?
Was that yesterday?
Yesterday, I think. Or whatever it was.
Whenever it was. So, okay. This is such a helpful download sesh right now. Because there's so many things that when I interpret them, what my intuition would say, they are on point and things did get through.
Well, here's the other thing we need to do. Like what we did after we did the guides, we have to listen to it. I know I've done this before too, where I miss things because you're processing stuff. Right. And I know I've gotten caught when things don't seem right, of self-doubt or doubting it. And so then I can't even listen to what she's saying. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So you might have missed something that could have been good. So how did it, so you were that was,
so I love the High Priestess, and then
I love the High Priestess.
And then she said, you're about to have a transformation in the new year and 8 months of crazy. Okay. And I thought she meant bad crazy. And then as she kept talking, I was like, wait, are you meaning good crazy or bad crazy?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, no. You're on a roll.
Oh, I love
things
that.
are turning for you. And she had a weird thing that I'll go back to the original writing. She did say, and this is a cool one, but I do kind of feel like a lot of people want to write books. I feel like who doesn't have a book in them? But whatever. Writing was repeated through this.
Yeah.
She kept coming back to the writing. She said at one point in the first part of the session, she said, let me rewind. A week ago when I was meditating, I was thinking about my career and that I felt a change, and I knew our podcast is one of them, but we both have this feeling there's something else too. And what had come to me is, you're going to write a book. Like that literally is in my journal from a week ago.
I love that.
And I don't feel like it's now. I don't even know what it would be about, but that was in my mind. So she actually said to me out of nowhere, do you have a book in you? You're supposed to write it. You're being guided to write it. And so towards the end of it, she circled back and she's like, the amount of times I've been told that you have to write this book, it's been over and over again this whole time, from your grandfather and from Archangel Michael. She told me he heavily is involved in my life. I know.
That's very cool.
Yes. And she's like,
wow.
She's like, he's very strong.
You have to look into that. You have to look at what his deal is. I don't know him
guys, we don't know
specifically.
Michael. And she's like, not in a normal way around me. Like he's heavily around me. So that was a fun nugget to look into.
That's amazing.
And she said, he's very into the writing of this book.
Okay.
So that was it. Like the last 20 minutes were about writing this book. It was like a role reversal where I started giving advice, and it was like she was looking for advice she wasn't looking for anything, but it turned into a funny conversation like you were Zooming with a friend where it was no longer the reading, which was fine because she had gone over the time frame. And we talked about her book, which is awesome. I'll read it. But it was really funny because it was more about her fears. And she's like, I actually kind of feel like you're here for me. Like you're to kickstart me because I keep hearing this writing for you. And now I'm kickstarted. So there was this
Oh my God, you were there for you. Also
I
like
think
said,
I was there
that
between
was
the fire and that.
Yeah.
It felt like a little bit like, I don't know. It was crazy. So there's definitely nuggets. I 100% need you to hear it.
I have to hear it. And I actually am feeling, I'm like interested in the Michael thing.
Okay,
a Michael
we have
thing.
to look at. I don't know about them. Some people might be listening and know instantly because you're connected or you're not. So I don't know. I think she had kind of identified that my grandpa and Michael are my guides. That's what I kind of got. So I'll have to dig into this further. So that's the overview. So I have been on an emotional roller coaster.
Oh my God, it sounds emotionally, it's so like
it's
up
like
and
up
down.
and down. But I will say this. I had the general sense that she has gifts and is warm and loving and using them. I feel as though she excels at mediumship and channeling, and that wasn't my true purpose. And she immediately had her natural instincts. She connected. That's when I felt the chills and I derailed. And I think that plus her stuff kind of disconnected us. But even in the mix, she had goodness to give. And I think we have things to chew on.
Yeah, I do
afterwards.
too. I do too. Oh my gosh. God, I feel like I'm on an emotional roller coaster.
I mean, right?
I need to hear it. Oh my God, I need to hear it in full so I can
we'll report
back a third time.
I mean, we actually will. So that's that. It was super fun. I mean, obviously. And I loved it. And I also, I went through a mini death in the middle of it. But it was amazing to experience. And I think that's the fun part is every time I do it, I just want to try again. And
wait a second. Besides dissing you on not hearing it in your own voice, did you ask any other angel questions? Did she answer anything?
The couple I did really weren't answered.
So you gave up.
I knew immediately that to give up my quest.
That's good.
On that one. That's why I said for me, the break in the middle felt really right because I needed to recheck myself. And that's why I came back and I asked about my grandma.
That's good.
Because I thought, okay, let's go where she's feeling things and where she excels.
Right.
So
now you gotta get that rosary too.
Now I need to get the rosary.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. We've loved being your spiritual travel guides and hope this made you feel more connected. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. Your reviews help us create the guide that you are looking for. We'd also love to hear your stories.
You can follow and share your experiences with us on Instagram at So Guided Podcast. Your story might just be our next weekly woo-woo. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the universe. And remember, stay curious, ask the questions. You are so guided.